Hello, and thanks for watching. And as you can see, here we are in F-Zero, the first game in the futuristic racing game series. So this one, despite the dates at the bottom of the screen there, they're the Japanese dates, this one came out in 1992 in the UK, and it was a launch title for the Super Nintendo. And this is going to be a series of videos looking at the F-Zero games. We're looking at the first one in this video, we're going to look at the other games in the series. The ones that were released in the UK at least, that I can get my hands on. And I did make a introduction video of sorts looking at my collection and talking about the series in general. I'll put a link to that in the description if you wanted to look at that. And I've made previous series of videos looking at the Wipeout games, which are very similar to the F-Zero games, and also the Extreme G videos, so feel free to check those out as well if you'd like. But here we are on the main menu of F-Zero, the first game in this series, and we've got Grand Prix, which is the main mode in the game, where you play through all the tracks, race to win. Practice mode, where you can pick a track, you can pick a rival as well, race against them, and records, where you can look at all your records that you set on the tracks. But we're just going to go into Grand Prix mode and have a look at the game in general. So here we go, you've got 4 ships you can pick from, and despite this being quite an old game, they all differ quite a lot. So if we go in here, you can see the acceleration and speed graph there. This one's called Blue Falcon, quite a famous ship. Captain Falcon, who's known throughout the series and also for appearing in other games such as Super Smash Bros, pilots this ship. So if I go on no, we can go look at another ship, the Golden Fox, and you can see the stats are a bit different there, and they do handle very different, so depending which ship you prefer the feel of is which one you should play with. There we go, the Wild Goose. And I mentioned in my introduction video to the series, as we look at the Fire Stingray here, that each ship has a pilot, and the game itself and the manual focus on comics, and they basically show you the characters in the series and stuff, and it gives the game a bit more character. And there are different pilots for all the ships in all of the games, but in these 4 there are 4 very specific pilots that you can look at and learn about and stuff. I tend to pick the Blue Falcon or the Fire Stingray at the bottom there. We'll stick with the Blue Falcon for now, it's quite iconic, it's known for the series. So we'll just select that ship there. Then you can pick your league, and we've got Knight League, Queen League, King League. They're all the different tracks in the game. And at the bottom there, after you've picked your league, so we'll just pick Knight. Then you pick your difficulty here. We've got Beginner, Standard, Expert. We'll just go on Beginner for now. Not the easiest games in the world, the F-Zero games. Here we go, Mute City 1. So immediately you can tell that by saying Mute City 1, there are various versions of these tracks throughout the game. And this is what the game looks like. It uses something called Mode 7, which is the 7th mode of graphics on the Super Nintendo. Or it's the 8th mode in fact, I think 0 is counted as a mode as well. But yeah, so the Mode 7 basically shifts around the plane of graphics to give you this fake looking 3D environment. If you know the Super Nintendo, you will have seen this in Super Mario Kart, in Pilot Wings, and also in a lot of RPG games. They use this method to display the world map and stuff like that. But yeah, this is the game, racing along, and you have an accelerator, you have a brake. You can turn left and right, and you can also use air brakes to turn your ship quite sharply. So I'll use one right now, and you can see that turns a lot sharper by scratching the ground with the side of the ship. After 1 lap you get a speed boost, which is, I think it's technically called a speed up in this game. So you've got the S displayed at the bottom right. If I use it now, you can see that S changes colour and we get a bit of a boost. In the top right there you've got a power bar. If I hit the sides a few times like this, you see that power bar goes down. And that's basically where the difficulty in this game comes from, is that the track design, you have to keep yourself off the sides, keep yourself from being damaged, keep your power up so you can finish the race. You can see in the bottom left there's a map of the circuit, and you've got to keep on the clear part of the track. So you can see I went over the gravel there and it slows the ship down. And as we come back onto the start finish straight here, you can see on the left there's the pit lane or the power lane, and you can collect some more power here. that recharges your ship. Each track has one of these, sometimes positioned in more difficult places. And in the top left you can see the rank. So in the front of me there you can see the golden fox. I've just overtaken it, and it's overtaken me again just there. But yeah, so I'm in rank 2 at the moment, second position. I'll overtake him here. Now I'm in first place. And you can see next to the rank there's safe, and it says 5 and above at the moment. And that means that you need to stay above the 5th position to stay safe to finish the race. And after every lap that changes, so now it says safe, free. So that means that I need to be 3rd place or above to finish the race. Another way the game adds a bit of a difficulty layer. And yeah, it's, for the time, it is a very good looking game. It blew people away with its 3D graphics, or quasi 3D graphics. And it's very playable. It's even now it's incredibly playable, excuse me. And you can see these back markers as I finish the race in first place there. But you can see these back markers, they add to the difficulty by getting in your way and giving you a bit more of a challenge if you're quite good at the game and you can get up into first place. And there we go, there's the results. It shows you what rank you were in for each lap and the time you got. It's quite good if you're into records and stuff like that. And here we go, we'll go on to the next track. Some of these tracks are quite well known. Mute City is quite well known, it appears in most games, a variation of it. Here we go, we're on Big Blue now. Another well known track. And you can immediately see the track design's very different from the first Mute City track we played there. Immediately got a bit more difficult. And yeah, you can see the gravel on the sides there, that slows you down again. You can probably hear the music there. The music in the game is quite iconic. A lot of these tracks and their music reappear as the series goes on. And you see here a bit of ice on the track, so that's another obstacle, makes your craft slide. Despite your craft flying, it does affect your craft. And there are various things like mines and difficult jumps, things like that as you go on. There's wind even, that will push your craft across the track. It's got quite a lot going on. It's not a huge amount of content in the game itself, but it is impressive how much variation there is. And yeah, so my personal story with this game is that I actually didn't own a Super Nintendo at the time. I grew up with the Sega Mega Drive, or the Sega Genesis as it's known in the States. And I was a Sonic kid instead of a Mario kid, I guess you could say. And I had a friend who had a Super Nintendo. I'd go over there, play the Star Fox, or Star Wing as it was called in the UK, and Street Fighter 2. But he never owned F-Zero, I never saw F-Zero. And I actually played the Wipeout series on the Sony PlayStation. I think I played maybe the first 2 games, something like that, and ended up going back and playing this F-Zero game, which I'd heard had inspired the Wipeout series. And it just goes to show how playable this game still is, because I went back and I found this game amazing. I really enjoyed playing it. Like I say, there's not a huge amount of content, but the variation and the fact it plays really well has meant it's a bit of a classic, and you can still pick it up and play it today. Feels great, controls really well. The fact the ships all have different handling is perfect. If you're into a certain handling style, you can probably find a ship you're into. Music's catchy. I think I sat down and just set out to beat the various leagues in the game, and also set good times, like beat times and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And of all the Super Nintendo games, this one's aged very well, I think. So yeah, here we go, we're on the final lap now. And I think I will beat this track, and then we'll cut across and maybe look at a couple more tracks. And I think that'll be it. There's not much more to say really. It's a good solid game. Still looks good, still plays really well. The only thing I'd say is possibly missing is something like multiplayer, but the sheer speed of the game and the fact that it's doing the mode 7 this fast and stuff probably means it was quite difficult to put that sort of thing in. And there we go, first place. There we go, there's my rank and my lap times. And here we go, we'll just have a quick look at Sand Ocean and then maybe another track, and then we'll call it a day on that, I think. So here we go, this is Sand Ocean. Again, difficulty's stepped it up, track design's a bit different. Bit more going on there. So yeah, at this point we've now got to the point in the game where you've got to use the air brakes a bit more to get around some of these trickier corners and stuff. And yeah, so you've got to avoid the other competitors like I'm doing there, and also the back markers that I mentioned. So some of them are normal back markers and some of them are flashing and they're explosive, so if you hit them they'll do your ship damage. And if you fly off the track at jumps and things, you will also be destroyed and lose the race. In fact, I should mention that at the bottom right you can see the ship with the number next to it. That's how many tries you get. So if your ship's destroyed, you can try the track again, but you've only got 3 tries, as you can see down there. Okay, so I've put us on a different track. We're here on Deathwind, and I've put us in the Fire Stingray ship, another favourite of mine. It handles quite well. And this track's quite cool because the wind is blowing you across the track and pushing you into the wall and the gravel and stuff. And you have to fight against the wind and also the other ships that you'd normally be racing against. We're in practice mode here, just so I can show you it. And here we have the speed up pads. They appear on some of the tracks. You hit those, you get a little bit of a boost. And yeah, it's quite unique the way it pushes at you, and just wanted to briefly show you that and how that one works. Okay, so we're just on the track Silence here, and I'm just going to show you a couple more things and then we'll call it a day with a video, I think. So yeah, you can see the track design's very different on all the tracks, different music and stuff. And here you can see the mines. If I hit them, you can see it damages the ship, messes me up a bit. So the whole point is dodge the mines. If you're involved in some hard racing with your opponents, obviously you've got to watch out for those. If your power's low, it can ruin your race. And you can learn to get through these chicanes quite easily with the air brakes, but I haven't played the game for a while, I'm not familiar with the racing line. But yeah, you can see how technical the tracks can get, and you can learn them and get through there quite easily. Get a bit of power going on. So yeah, I'll just show you what happens basically if you miss a jump. So there are jumps littered through the game. Some don't really affect you, but some actually go over gaps in the track and stuff. And if you mess up, this happens. Your ship gets destroyed. And yeah, so that's a look at F-Zero, the original game on the Super Nintendo. And next up we'll be looking at F-Zero BS Grand Prix 2, which is a rare sequel to the F-Zero game that was released on the broadcast satellite, or the Satellaview. It was a Japanese only release, but some people have managed to put the version of it that's out there on the internet onto cartridges, and I've got a hold of one of those so I can actually play it and we can have a look at it. So yeah, if you're interested in that, stick around and we'll get a video out for that soon. But yeah, otherwise thank you very much for watching.